welcome back to my channel. So I mentioned this in my video last week in my June plan with me that this week I was going to have a special kind of PROJO influenced, PROJO related video, and I am so excited. I have been waiting for this product to come out. So you guys might have seen, if any of you follow Claire Minimal Plan over on Instagram, you will have seen that on May 18th, she launched her new workbook, which is the Daily Booster. So we have a lot to talk about. So the first thing is, Claire sent me this so that I could kind of test it out, and if I liked it, share it with you guys, and I'm actually gonna do more of a review style, so I haven't done any of the sheets in here, but if you guys are familiar with the PROJO Plus, which was the like PROJO, it's not really like a stationery box, but it had the PROJO refills and then it had some extra goodies in there. If you guys are familiar with that, and from when I did my reviews of those, my unboxings of those, you'll remember those little cards that she had, and there was always like the motivation, productivity, and time management card in each of them. And like, I'm pretty sure that that was sort of the initial version of this workbook. So I like kind of already know that I'm gonna love it because I love all of Claire's time management and productivity, and what is the last one? Time management, productivity, motivation. Gosh, I love all of her tips like that. So I am already fully prepared to like love this product. So just, you know, full disclosure, I have a slight PROJO bias. You know, I like it. So when Claire sent me the files, there were actually 3 files that I got. So the first one was the actual Daily Booster workbook. Then there's also a tablet version, which, as you guys can see, I printed mine out, and because I am super extra, I printed it as a booklet, and I actually did do a thread binding in the booklet because it's like 70 pages long, and my little brochure stapler just won't go through that many pages. Don't worry, I'm going to show you guys a look inside this, even though I know that like with the lighting I have to use, you're not going to be able to see much. And then the last thing that you get is a little set of worksheets. So I did actually print these out as a booklet as well, and I bind them. I did just a staple binding because there's only like 5 sheets of paper, 10 sheets of paper, something like that. And even though I know that there's a possibility that if I were to use them, I would potentially print out the sheet in full form to fill out, but I just wanted to have kind of the overview of all of them. And the reason that I like to do this is that, one, I don't like reading on my computer, even if there's a tablet version. I just prefer, for something like this that I know I'm going to like read and reference and look back through, I prefer having a paper version. The other reason is that because I've already started, I have all of my PROJO stuff. I also have, whoops, if you guys can see over here, I actually also have, this is my Reflect and Recharge workbook that I did at the end of 2019 to help me with my 2020 planning. It actually lives right after, so right after my Q4 P-book. And then this one over here is my Q1 one. And so because all of these, you know, they're A5 size, when I print it out as a booklet, these come out as A5 as well. I just decided that I wanted to have them as a paper version so that I could pull them out and reference them as needed. So that is why I went the extra mile and actually bound mine. So the really cool thing about this, it's the Daily Booster workbook. So the idea behind it is that you have all, like, it's basically a toolbox for different things. So depending on what issue you have, you can go through it and figure out which tool is going to help you work through that. And so I think at this point we need to go over to the table and like take a deep dive into this and see what is actually inside the workbook. So let's head on over. Okay, so this is going to be a lot easier to show you guys what there is in each of these different little booklets. So as you guys can see over here, this is the Daily Booster workbook, and this is the one that's 70 pages long. So I actually did a stitched binding so that it would last a little bit better. And then this is the Daily Booster worksheets, and I just did a little staple binding over here because it is so much thinner. I figured that it would actually be less kind of destructive than punching holes in the side if I just went ahead and stapled it. So let's take a look first at the Daily Booster workbook. So I'm so excited, guys. So I did print this out today, and I did, you guys, I'm a super nerd. I did actually use Marie Antoinette to get a nice edge on here, and then because this was so few pages, I could use my little portable paper cutter to clean up the edges over here. So they are kind of extra, and I love it. So this is your daily motivation, organization, and focus booster. So more than 70 pages of actionable tools to make progress on your small and big projects a little faster, which I am so excited. So let us take a little peek. I'm not gonna go through and read everything. I'm gonna try and show you guys as kind of robust a review as I can, but obviously if you're interested in this, you should definitely go and support Claire because she is amazing. She puts so much time and effort into this. And I don't know if you guys know, Claire is actually French. And so she has pretty much all of her products available in French and in English, which means that she actually does an extra load of work because she has to translate all of her stuff into English after she's already done in French. So definitely, if you're interested in her stuff, like, go support her. She's amazing. So you have a little note from Claire, and then you have this little edito. So I'm actually going to read through this a little bit later, but just kind of some information about how this workbook works, like what you can use it for and all of that. And there's literally a sentence: this workbook works like a toolbox. Exactly what I thought it was. So you've got a suggestion for how best to use this workbook. So I think that, yeah, basically you can draw from its contents whenever you want, every day, or not, to get inspired and find solutions to whatever is holding you back. So I think personally, I'm probably gonna use this. I'm gonna go through and kind of read everything. You know, I'll go through everything with you guys, and then I'm gonna go back and read everything on my own, because obviously it's gonna take me not being on camera and trying to talk through it to actually get all of this information. But I think I'm going to use it as a way that I'm going to kind of cherry pick the different tools I need depending on what I need to actually work on. So as I was printing and like folding and binding this, I saw a couple of things. I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to go back and read that. So I'm not going to work through all of the recommendations like start to finish. I'll probably end up reading through them that way, but I'll then go back and I'll pick different things that I'm going to work on. So it might take me several months to actually use all of the different tools, but like that's kind of the point of a toolbox, so you have it for when you need it. So you've got your little table of contents, and they are split out by, so you've got your introduction, then your motivation tips, your priority tips, and your focus tips, and then different experiments, which that I'm really excited about. So you've got your workbook that's got all of the information, and then you've also got the worksheet, so we will go through that a little bit later to have specific ways of working through some of the suggestions that she gives. So you have your little introduction. So I love how she always has things split out. In the PROJO Plus, it was motivation, productivity, and time management. And so these are kind of reworked, but it kind of makes sense. So motivation obviously stays the same. Priorities, I feel like that is kind of like the time management section, which actually, does she say that? Okay, she doesn't necessarily, but it talks about focusing your time and energy. So I think that the stuff that she originally was calling the time management stuff is going to fall slightly more under the priorities, and then the focus is going to be the productivity kind of stuff. So I like that. I really like how this has been kind of reworked. So I will definitely be reading that introduction a little later. So you've got your prescription. So, oh, I love this. So how am I feeling? And she gives you some different adjectives, and it's like, okay, how am I feeling? Kind of what do I need? And then she gives you suggestions of which pages you can go to like kind of find what you need. So for example, we'll look at this first one. Is I'm feeling out of my depth, overwhelmed, anxious, and scattered. So I need more clarity. I need to know where to start. I need to prioritize what to do, and I need to better organize myself. And so you have two possibilities. So you can either go to page 9 and connect with your goal, or you can go to page 34 and discover the priorities worksheets. So depending on what you're feeling, she tells you, okay, you probably need to focus more on like priorities, productivity, or not productivity anymore. Priorities, focus, or motivation, which I really like that kind of troubleshooting approach to this. And then your different goals. So this is, yeah, I'm gonna have to read all of this later, but yeah, figuring out what your actual goals are. And so over here, you've got ways, okay, so this is actually very similar to, if you are familiar with the Reset and Recharge workbook, these are very similar to that sort of like thinking through your goals and breaking them down in that way, which I like this because, there's definitely times that Reset and Recharge workbook is like getting everything kind of kicked off, but there are times when you have a new goal that comes out that you need to like have that ability to focus on that. So I like that dealing with goals is in your toolbox, even if it is something like she does have kind of a goal setting workbook sort of separately. I like that it's still in here because that's obviously a huge thing that things happen, you have to reset, you have to pivot, you have to like make adaptations and changes. So I'm excited to see that goals are still like a huge part in the toolbox, which I mean, obviously all of this is about setting goals. Like you can't not have goals in here, obviously. So we've got our different toolbox, so our different worksheets. So our first section over here is motivation. I like this. Boost your energy and confidence. Like, just like, it feels motivating just to like start reading through this. And like, honestly, there are times when I go through and I would read some sort of like motivating self-help book, not necessarily because I'm unfamiliar with the principles, but because actually going through and reading it motivates me. And it starts getting like those juices moving and like starts you thinking about different things you can do. And that is honestly, at least for me, that's one of the main benefits of having something like this, is not because I'm unaware of some of these approaches. Like, I definitely don't know all of them, but it's not that I'm unaware of some of these approaches. It's that reading about them and reading, like, you can tell the person who was writing about it, in this case Claire, was like really passionate about the subject, and like that passion comes through the page and motivates me to like get working on stuff. That's honestly why I keep reading these kinds of things. Like, random little side note. Yay, there's quotes. We know I love quotes. So there are no limits on what you can achieve with your life except the limits you accept in your mind. Yay, love. Okay, yes, I'm excited. There's little motivational quotes. So we've got different things. So we've got confidence booster, ways of taking action. So I love this. The method in a few words. How does it work? Take action. And I'm pretty sure she does this for all of them, because as I was folding my pages, I was kind of seeing that. So I like that it's really broken down. And so you can just like in a page, you can get an idea of what this is going to be. And then it goes into the different setups and like explaining how you can do it. So like, for example, the confidence booster, you've got achievements, and I managed to do it because, challenges, I managed to overcome it because, pro tip, like, so much information in here. So there we go. So I'm definitely going to read through this. I think this is going to be one that I want to do kind of sooner rather than later, because it's always nice to have a little like pep talk for yourself. So I'm definitely going to do that. So then the did list, oh my gosh, I think everyone in the bullet journal community is aware of the did list, and I love it. So the method in a few words, how does it work? And then take action, pro tip. Excellent, like these. So this one, for example, the did list is something I'm kind of aware of, but I'm really curious to read what Claire says about it, because she's really good at like just diving to the heart of the matter and explaining it in a way that I'm like, oh, I thought I understood that. And then I read it, I'm like, no, wait, no, this makes so much more sense now. So then we've got our celebrations, and you've got little things, like little flow charts and stuff to kind of help you with that. I love how there's always a pro tip, there's always an explanation of the method. Like, it's all like very organized, and you know, when you go to your different sections, you're like, you know exactly how you're going to find the information laid out, which I find really, really helpful. I like that sort of continuity in presentation. So, another lovely quote. I'm not going to read all the quotes because, you know, you guys can read them. So then the supporters. So this one's going to be fun. Oh, so this is like figuring out who your support network is in terms of the people in your life. Oh my gosh, I love this. This is going to be so good. Yes, no, this is going to be awesome. I definitely want to do that one too. I mean, I want to do all of them, but there is a couple that I'm like, the confidence booster, the supporters, I definitely want to do those. Like, I think those are one of those things you do as kind of like a baseline. And then some of the other ones are more like, I need to troubleshoot this particular problem. So I might end up doing it multiple times. Whereas something like the confidence booster and the supporters, I would probably do once like every couple of years sort of thing. So then we've got our boosters. Oh, so like energy boosting. Yes. Oh, I love this. Things that boost my energy, things that drain my energy. This is something that I've definitely thought about, but I've never actually written down. I think that is going to be fantastic. Jumping over obstacles. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, this is going to be good. Oh, yay. There's so many quotes. I'm so happy about the, like, can you tell I'm like inordinately pleased that there are motivational quotes? I just really enjoy that. So then we've got our priority section. So cutting things down to what matters. Yes, getting to the essential. Definitely a good thing. So this is one, so if you guys saw my review of the Clear Habit Journal, some of these things are going to show up because there's some really like kind of core approaches to productivity and, you know, figuring out what your priority projects are and that kind of stuff. So some of these, like, they definitely exist in other like formats, but I love that they're all kind of like taken together in one toolbox, so you can like flip through and figure out what you need to use. So here we've got the Eisenhower matrix, so like important and urgent, important and non-urgent, non-important and urgent, and non-important and non-urgent, which this is one I've seen a lot, and I always have a really hard time filling it out. And I feel like now is probably the third or fourth time that I've seen the explanation, and I'm like, finally, I feel like eventually I'm gonna figure out how to do it. So then we've got our mental inventory. So yeah, inspired by the bullet journal method. So we all are probably familiar, well, a lot of us are probably familiar with the mental inventory. So you've got your different, so what am I doing, what I should do, what I would like to do. So definitely a good one. So you've got your little explanations, pro tip. The pickle jar theory. Oh, I am not familiar with the pickle jar theory. I'm excited to read this. That should be fun. So it says it's from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So that, I'm definitely going to be reading through that one. The PROJO principle. This is another one that I'm not familiar with. I'm really excited to check these out. So yeah, definitely going to have to check out those last two because those are the only two that I'm like not at all familiar with. The others I've at least heard of, even if I haven't really used them. Then we've got our focus section. So being efficient, focused, and productive, things we love. Ooh, yes, you'll never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it. So, so true. Yes, definitely one of those like weird things that I like learned as I got older and realized that yes, it is absolutely true and like didn't make sense when I was younger somehow. The Pomodoro technique, man, I haven't done this in ages. Actually, when I first started bullet journaling, that was my first post on Instagram was the spread I made for the Pomodoro technique. Like, yeah, definitely. Haven't done it in a while though. I feel like I tend to be the kind of person where if I'm going to get into something, I'm going to get into something for like an hour or 2 hours. And the Pomodoro technique would, for things that I actually want to do, it would interrupt me. But for something that I don't want to do, I think this might be a good thing for me to try again. I think that would make sense. Time blocking, you guys know I'm obsessed with time blocking. I need to figure out a way. I probably need to do a video about this at some point because this is something that I definitely have started doing a lot in the last like year or so. So more time blocking. Oh God, gotta love a good time blocking calendar. Definitely gonna read through that because I'm sure there's things that I could be doing better with my time blocking. So I will be reading through that section for sure. Distractions. Distractions like Instagram. That's a big one for me. Definitely need to read this one. Then Carlson's Law. Okay, Carlson's Law I am not familiar with. I will definitely have to read through and see what that is all about. Ooh, so task groups, recurrence, and time blocks. Okay, this I think is gonna be really good. This like looks like it kind of falls into time blocking, which is something I already do, so I'm excited to read that one. Power hours, I've heard of power hours, and I've never really done them. There was somebody I followed like years ago on YouTube that was into doing power hours, which is where I first heard of it. So I'll definitely have to go through the time budget. Yes, definitely need to read that. Absolutely need to read the time budget. Ooh, you guys, oh, sorry, I'm cutting off the bottom here. So it's got a little time code section. You guys know I love a time coded calendar. Not a time coded calendar, a color coded calendar, goodness. Yes, no, definitely want to check out the time budget for sure. So another little quote. And then experiment. Okay, so this section, this is the one that I saw that I was actually not expecting that I'm really excited about. So last part guides you throughout your use of the workbook as you try the different tools. It'll help you assess what works for you and what doesn't. Oh, excellent. Oh, I love this. Okay, so you can do a little like, and obviously you could do this in like your bullet journal or in a different notebook or in here if you wanted, but basically to track the different tools you use in each of the 3 sections and figure out, you know, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what can I test. So, you know, decide like, okay, these were the things I tried and this didn't work, but there's this other tool I saw that seems like it's similar to something that did work, so why don't I try that next? I love that. So doing a weekly review. Excellent. Then at the end, ooh, oh, I love this. So at the end, you can figure out, once you've kind of tested a bunch of stuff, you figure out what are the tools that work for me and what are the different combinations of tools that like really work. Oh, fantastic. So now that is basically the end of the workbook section of it. So you've got other information from Minimal Plans. You've got her Reset and Recharge workbook and all of that. So then the last little thing you've got is the worksheets. So you've got the different sections over here. And again, this is something that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I printed these out so that I could flip through and see them really easily. But I think that if I were to actually go through and do them, I would probably print them out full size on an A4 piece of paper so I'd have plenty of room to write. Or I sometimes, depending on how like involved a worksheet is, I might just like sketch it on a piece of scratch paper and not even like print it out necessarily, but I would use this to kind of guide as I'm working through it. So that was why I wanted to print out these, even though technically you would probably use them differently. So you've got your goals worksheets. So basically all the little sections that she's got in the workbook, she then has a full A4 sized worksheet, which obviously I've printed mine so they're A5 size, but you can print them out as a full A4 size, which I think is fantastic. And I'm really excited. Yeah, because like the celebrations, I really want to do the supporters one. The boosters especially is another one that I want to work on. I mean, all of them eventually, but like kind of my initial like few that I want to focus on. You know, I've done a mental inventory before, so that one I'll do, but probably not immediately. I want to read about this and see if I can do that activity, maybe work in the Pomodoro technique again, because I haven't done that in a long time. Obviously need to read the time blocking and see if there's any ways that I can improve my own time blocking. The time budget, I'm super excited to try out the time budget. I think that is going to be really, really, really key for me. I'll have to do another video after I've done some of these worksheets to come back and tell you how they actually worked and like which ones worked for me specifically. Obviously, it's gonna be so personal. It's gonna really depend how your brain functions, how you plan, what kind of priorities you have. Like it's definitely gonna depend on that, but I can at least come back if you guys are interested and show you sort of which of the activities I found were really useful for me, if there were ways that I kind of combined different activities, or you know, if there's things that I decided like, yeah, this is going to be something I do once every couple of years. This is going to be something I do once every month or once every couple of weeks or whatever. So if you guys are interested in me doing sort of a follow-up video to this, let me know down in the comment section and I will plan to do that probably in a couple of months just so I can actually have some time to really work through the workbook and the worksheets and give you guys a good idea of how it's actually kind of worked into my planning routine. So yeah, and then we've got our little weekly, what is this? The weekly review. So the little weekly review so you can kind of track the different exercises that you did. Oops. So yeah, that is a look inside and we're gonna pop back over to the other side for a little outro. So I hope that going through and kind of seeing what is inside the Daily Booster workbook and kind of my thoughts about it and how I'd like to use it, I hope that helps you decide if this is a tool that you would be interested in purchasing. So it is about 20 euros on Claire's website. I will leave the link down below if you are interested. Definitely go and check it out. I know that she has free downloads of the PROJO pages. So if you're considering starting to use the PROJO but aren't like really convinced yet, you can actually download some of the spreads and test them out and see if they actually work for you. So yeah, that is what I've got for you guys today. I am actually super excited to go ahead and start working on filling out some of these sheets. As I mentioned, it is a toolbox, so I don't think I'm gonna actually go through and fill out everything, you know, from start to finish. I will definitely sit down and read through it more because obviously as I'm doing this video with you guys, I don't have the time to read everything, but yeah, I am super excited for this new tool to help me get even more productive than I already am. So that is all I have for you guys for today. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.